Hello and welcome back to Hardy's Books. My name is Laura and I am the other half of the Hardy's Books machine. I'm here to talk about a book that I just finished yesterday, and I've never done a solo book review on this channel, but I loved this book so much that I told Ross that I absolutely have to tell you all about it. And that book is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I'm going to hold that nice and close to the camera. Have a look at that amazing cover art. And that design continues the whole way round. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? The Shadow of the Gods is the first of the Bloodsworn Saga, which is a series that has not yet been finished by John Gwynne, which is set in a very Norse-inspired fantasy world. It draws very heavily on all of the Nordic tropes. So we're talking ancient gods, people who are descendant from gods. In this society, the people who are descendant from these ancient dead gods are called the tainted. And one of our protagonists, who we'll get to in a second, is part of a mercenary group who are almost like bounty hunters that go around trying to collect up as many of these tainted individuals as they can and cashing in a bounty. John Gwynne has created in the Bloodsworn Saga a completely engrossing, gritty, real feeling. Like, it feels so cold. Like, as you're reading it, you feel like you've got the dirt under your nails. You can smell the smoke in your... Hello. Hi. Sorry, am I disturbing you? Oh, sorry. There are these weird, like, magical creatures that eat human teeth. It's all very weird and creepy and it's just so cool. The magic in the book is minimal. There are a few characters who openly practice magic. There are the Sether witches, who are openly descendant from the dead gods, and then there are the trained magical practitioners, and it comes up that with it in the story that there is kind of the trained practitioners hold the Sether witches in, you know, contempt almost, or certainly the one that we encounter in this book does. When you understand that the gods created this world and then they destroyed so much of their own creation and themselves, there are no gods left. And when we start this story, they are all dead. There are just little fragments of their power left in these tainted individuals. So the magic system is very much underground, hinted at. It's so tantalising. You're like, oh, no, no, oh, I want more. No, 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 no. We follow in this book 3 point of view characters. I, generally speaking, don't like multi-POV books. Controversial opinion, I know. Weirdly, I did enjoy A Song of Ice and Fire. I enjoyed Stormlight Archive. I loved The First Law. But generally speaking, my favourites are always single POV. This is a multi-POV book with 3 point of view characters. First thing that I loved is that 2 of them are women, and both of those women are absolutely badass. The first is a woman called Orca. I was talking to some of our friends on Discord about Orca, and this was when I was very, very early on in the book, and someone described Orca as murderous Mama Orca, and I was like, oh, tell me more. Murderous Mama Orca. Without giving too much away, this is a spoiler-free review. But Orca is not all that she seems. When we meet her, she is living with her husband and her son, Breca. And she and her husband, Thorkel, are working as fur traders. And they're living just outside the local town. And, you know, they're pretty happy. But things transpire. They decide that they need to move on. And I will leave it there. But she absolutely kicks so much ass. I love her so very much. One of the best female protagonists I have ever read. We stan Mama Orca. The second protagonist that I want to talk to you about is Elva. Now, Elva, when we meet her, is working with this band of mercenaries that I already mentioned, who are called the Battle Grim. And the Battle Grim are essentially working as bounty hunters, and they are collecting up tainted individuals and selling them to wealthy individuals. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that very early on we discover that she is actually a noble woman who has fled her father's court to join a mercenary group because she didn't want to be sold off as a prize bride to the son of a local queen. And we love it, and she absolutely kicks ass. And what I particularly enjoyed about Elva is that she earned her place in her mercenary group. She's not just been handed everything on a silver platter because of who she was. She's earned everything. She's absolutely a complete rock star. Yeah, she's great. The third POV protagonist is Varg, who is the only boy that we follow throughout this. But we can forgive him. And Varg, when we meet him, is an escaped thrall who is fleeing from the son of his owner, who he has murdered in cold blood. It transpires that he murdered his owner because his owner murdered his sister. And Varg's character arc is essentially one of revenge. He wants to find a Sether witch who can perform essentially a magical ritual that will let Varg know who killed his sister, which is a very, I'd say, a noble thing for him to do. And in order to do that, he joins with a second group of mercenaries called the Bloodsworn. And you will notice that this is the Bloodsworn Saga. Make of that what you will. Themes-wise, I think it would be lazy to assume that this is just a standard, revenge saga with magical baddies and dead gods. There is much more depth to this book than that. This is a book about family and finding your chosen family and your place in the world. It is about fighting for what is important to you, fighting for the people that you care about. I just think it's absolutely stupendous and incredibly beautifully written. The prose is quite purple, but there is one scene that I won't spoil. It's very gory. But there's a scene where Orca is interrogating another character, and where John Gwynne could have just said, she cut his foot off. But instead, he said, she brought the axe across his foot, and toes and blood flew through the air. And I was on a coach at the time, and physically recoiled in my chair and went, ooh, and like scrunched my toes up in my shoe, and was like, oh my God. It was so it was visceral, and it's just so beautifully done. Like, it doesn't feel gratuitous. Like, it's detailed and evocative without feeling gratuitous. I just think it's masterfully done. So often with combat heavy, gore heavy books, I zone out. I'm like, this is so far outside my own realm of experience. I've never seen a foot cut off. I have no idea if this is true to how it would actually be. That I just completely zone out. But with this, it was like I was there. I could smell the blood. I could, so good. So good. There were a few things that I took issue with. Some of the names were quite difficult for me to remember as a person who only speaks English as my mother tongue, and I have passable conversational German, but when there's characters called Angar and Anvar and Vangar and Gengar, there are so many characters. I occasionally lost track of who is who is tainted, who is in this mercenary group, who is in this mercenary group, who's the baddie, who's a goodie, blah blah blah. But I think there are so many good things about this book that more than make up for it, that I have no hesitation in giving this book 27 out of 27 Bloodsworn Warriors. I would give it 28 out of 27 Bloodsworn Warriors if I could.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about a book if I could give it 18 out of 17 unnecessary cybernetic legs, then I would, because everything.
Thus concludes this review. Absolutely love this book. I've already started the sequel, Hunger of the Gods, and I look forward to the third one, which is apparently coming out at some point this year. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Tell your friends. If you enjoyed this video, please do give us a thumbs up. If you enjoy our content, then please do subscribe. We really are trying hard to put out quality content for you, so we would really appreciate it. We have a shop, so if you are interested in beautiful first editions, limited editions, this here is a first edition of The Shadow of the Gods, which I bought the second I finished the book, and amazingly has already arrived. And this is not for sale, this is mine. But if you would like to have a look at some of the lovely first editions that we do have for sale, head to hardysbooks.co.uk. We are on Instagram at hardysbooks. We are on TikTok occasionally at hardysbooks. We are both, myself and Ross, quite active on Discord on Andrew Watson's server. So head to Andrew's server, I think it's called The Fool's Tale. You can find a link in one of his video descriptions, I expect. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one. Mwah. Was that all right? Was it good?
So natural, so brilliant. That was wonderful.